Welcome back to another series of Chatting with Wisdom. And so we are on our weekly interview series, and this is our first of 2023. And so I'm super excited that you guys are here to join me. Hashtag replay if you guys are catching this on the replay, and if you are catching this on the podcast, would love to hear some feedback from you. And so today we're actually going to connect with Schroeder Nordholt. And so we are going to be completely unscripted. And so Chatting with Wisdom is hosted by Geegado Megwan, which is me, which means Talking Feather Woman. And Rollie Allaire is my earth name. And I work with, my role or my goal is to empower women to stand in their truth so that they feel fulfilled and can achieve their desires. So the weekly interview series is to help support successful women who are feeling misunderstood, disempowered in their personal relationships, and it allows them to help them stand in their truth so that they can communicate with more confidence. And so today we're going to be talking about vocal impact, why you need to harness the power of your voice now. So Schroeder divides his time as a voice coach and a composer. He is the CEO and founder of Mic Drop, the voice coaching method for intuitive entrepreneurs and visionary leaders, proven and guaranteed to dramatically uplevel their confidence, charisma, persuasion, impact, and influence when delivering their messages by tapping into their vocal potential. Welcome.
Yeah, it's all about the voice. What? How are you? Love
I'm
to see
good.
you.
Good. This is amazing. I was just sharing before you came on that you are our first guest of 2023. And so
Right?
we're doing a little bit of a shift. We're at a different time this year, and we are at also setting up differently where we're going to have both men and women show up to our chats. So you are our first to join us both as a male and as our first of 2023. So like you've got this double whammy going on. How's it going?
Like it's just like slam dunk. It's so wonderful. I'm so excited to be here and honored. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you and your audience, and hopefully share some nuggets of wisdom that will hopefully, if I can push the needle even slightly in someone's life, I can rest easy, right? I can
Yes.
rest easy,
Yes.
even a little bit, right? Even a little bit. Which so I hope that people can get something out of our conversation. I'm sure you will.
I am sure too. So tell me a little bit more as to how you ended up getting into voice.
How I got into voice was I was fascinated with. Okay, so I was fascinated with voice. Okay, so back up. How long do we have again? No, I'm kidding. The thing was, as a kid, I grew up playing piano and was one of those like you have to take piano lessons, right? I guess because I was talented or something like that, and so I'm eternally grateful. Obviously now, but at the time it was but I was more interested in. I loved hearing singers, and so the thing was when I was like like young adult or so, I was like, well, I don't know how to sing. Like I don't know how to sing, but I want to be able to sing. And when I went to learn how to, or when I went to sing just on my own without training, I found that I'd ruin my voice. Like I'd get hoarse, and you know what I mean. I wouldn't be able to even talk after singing for like 5 minutes or whatever. And so what I, something in me. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why. I was like 19, something like that. Something in me was like, you need to go to your parents and unlock the. I mean, I guess I should back up a little more. I grew up in a very like you had to be really quiet growing up. Like it was like deathly silent dinner table. You didn't speak up, right? You basically, it was just a very confined upbringing. And so I felt like something was like holding me back. Like, I just, something in me was like, so if I went to my parents, so I did, I went to my parents and like, just basically told them like, I just feel this way. I just feel like this was, and it's holding me back from being able to sing. And all I want to do is sing. Like, um, and something shifted, like, and then from that moment on, it was like it cleared out energetically, I'd say, like, and the energy of staying quiet and being like in a little shell or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That kind of lifted, and it opened the doorway to be able to start to explore learning how to sing. So I learned how to sing. I was free to like now start to learn how to sing and use my voice and like take all the courses and like study with the best trainers in the world and all of the things to actually be able to use my voice in an effective way that didn't ruin it and it actually sounded good, right? And so that transformation taught me that I could teach others to do
So
the same.
you teach actual singing to your clients?
So now, so okay, so I teach. I teach. It's a can of worms. I teach singing in order for them to speak better. So the thing is that when you, however you use your voice, is the voice is the voice is the voice, right? Like whether like if you make, so I made a connection between great actors and singers, as in, I think it was like, do you know like the Greatest Showman musical?
No.
Where they, and it goes even back before that, where what is it? Moulin, the one with Ewan McGregor and Moulin Rouge.
Okay.
Moulin Rouge. So what happened is like you see, you do you know Ewan McGregor? If you don't, like people would know.
I'm not really big on names. I may know them to see them, but I don't know. I'm not really great.
Yeah, and people watching would know, and he's a top shelf Hollywood actor or whatever. But here he is singing really, really well, like really, really well, and just little things like that were like lights going off for me, as in good actors can also be, with training, really good singers.
Mm-hmm.
And I made this connection between acting and singing and using the voice. It's one and the same. All right. So when you train, so what I've done is I've invented a program for speakers, and where we do some of the ma 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 ma, like the things that you'd expect in singing lessons, in order so that I can, or you can, use your voice more expressively as a speaker in your business, but also your life, your personal life too. Like knowing how to control your voice and using all of the different ways that you can use your voice, the way an actor has to, right? Has to use all of its colors and textures and projection and knowing when to hold back. Just all of it is powerful.
Well, and even I'm just thinking of the conversations that we've had with parents over the years at different times, where we've had those conversations of, if you whisper, they actually have to stop and listen to what you're saying, right? So, yeah. So it's like, so yelling at them is not necessarily going to help get them to do what you want them to do. But if you have to whisper, then they're going to try and pay more attention to what it is that you're saying to them, right? So I thought that was always an interesting technique. But when you're talking about like using it in life and how using your voice in life and how that actually can bring that help to be able to have people understand and having that conversation, right? So
yeah, you want people to lean in and just have full range, or full capacity over the full range of your voice. Like people, like the voice is capable of way more than we think.
Yes.
And it's fascinating. It's yeah.
Yeah, well, and when you can't, like, so I have a friend who, when stress becomes like really intense in her life, is that she ends up with laryngitis. And it's very much correlated to her emotions. And people don't always realize that your voice and how you actually speak. Like, so you were talking about like everything is quiet in your house, and like we come from a French Canadian family, and like there was no quiet in our house. Everything's no and loud. My mom is probably the loudest of them all. Right. So it's like,
Right.
and so when people say like, oh yeah, like it was like super quiet in our house, we had to be like really quiet. I'm like, oh my gosh, not in our house. My mom was the loudest. And even to this day, as a grandmother, my mom is still the loudest. She's louder than all the kids. She's louder than everyone. And her voice is just
Nice.
completely boisterous. Right.
Nice. That's so important, like to grow up that way. Like your kids are lucky, and yeah, to feel like it's like permission. So it's like I feel like for some people and your friend, like it's like I feel like I'm like the first little bit when they first start to work with me, or even if I get people in just a like this, even like you're allowed to be loud. Like you're allowed to be loud. You're allowed to show up as big as you want, because we don't like some people, and that was my journey as well. Like I didn't feel like I was allowed. I didn't feel like like I was allowed, like where and you're you know what I mean, like you're allowed to be as big as you want in this world. Like, and for some of us we need that external, or we need a shift internally. Actually, we need a shift internally to give ourselves that permission. And so that's often what it starts to do when I work with people, right? Is like, and so I hope people listening that this is like that one nudge in, if I can, nudge the needle just even slightly for somebody, that would be it. Like, like you're allowed, like we're allowed to be loud. Like, come on, people,
Yeah, absolutely. And it just, and it allows us to be able to be that of who we are. And so like now in my 50s, I'm here doing these interviews. But if you would have known me in grade school and high school, I was like this quiet little mouse, and like I didn't have a whole lot of like I wasn't the one that would actually speak up loud, and I wasn't the one that would be at home. That was different, because if you wanted to be heard, you needed to be loud. But out in the community, it was just, we need to be quiet and well behaved, and you don't speak your mind. And now that is what I teach people. I teach people you have to speak, you have to share what it is that's going on. If you want to be heard, then you need to use that voice. You need to be able to use those words. You need to be able to use that that influx of what it is that you have going on. And I think that that's kind of what it is that you're saying, right? So like you have to use that, like when are the tones, like when do you actually get like super excited? Like I am I am full of emotion. And so like when I'm excited about something, that I'm excited in my voice. If I'm angry with something, that I'm angry about something. If I'm shy and quiet, then that I'm like kind of pulling in and I'm shy and quiet, right? So
yeah, intrinsically connected to your emotional state, and people can read it even if you're trying to hide it too. So like your voice will betray whatever is going on. Do you know what I mean? Betray, like as in you're trying to hide something or just something like that, or you're trying to, you know what I mean, like pretend to be not shy, or you're or nervous is a big one. Like like if I'm getting up, people like, and we all have it, right? Like I'm getting up on stage and I'm a little nervous. People are going to be able to tell. So you better have some tricks up your sleeve, right?
Yeah.
And a little bit, I mean, nerves is a bit different, where it's like you're typically, even the best of the best tend to get a bit nervous still. You know what I mean? Like even after years of, and so a little bit of nervousness is okay and normal and actually good, because it keeps you sharp, whatever. But you better have some tricks up your sleeve for knowing, not tricks. I don't want to, make it like you're trying to trick the audience. Like your tools to be authentic is what it is. Yeah. Like tools up your sleeve to be able to bring even whatever's going on personally. If you have to get up on that stage, tools to be able to go up and deliver, like something crazy could be going on in your personal life, and you don't want that necessarily to show. You want to show up as a professional, or whatever the context is. Yeah. And so having those tools, go ahead.
Yeah. And like, that is so important, right? So like being able to have those tools in our toolbox. And so I know for me is that when I start to get nervous, or I'm in a situation where I'm going to be nervous, the very first thing that you notice, or anybody notices, is that my cadence becomes very quick, right? So like I'm really fast and I'm like talking really fast, but I also do that when I'm excited as well. But like, it's like the words just kind of like really fast, but you can tell the difference, right? So like there's still a difference in terms of like, but yeah, so like for me it becomes
because people, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of add more to that, so go ahead.
Yeah. Again, and if you're saying like you're saying talking fast could be nervous energy or excited energy, but again, people will pick up on which one it is.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll pick up if you're, you know what I mean, like if you're nervous, you know what I mean. Anyways, yeah, you get it.
Yeah, and one of the other things too is like if you're being deceitful, right? So like it shows up in your voice as well, and so
sure.
So not being able to be authentic will show up even that much more, and so it's really important for you to be able to show up as you and having that conversation, right? So having that conversation with yourself. So how do you? So the question is that you have is, why do you need to harness the power in your voice now? Like, so why now? Why this conversation today?
How much time do we have again? I know that's the gist of everything we've been talking about is like it. Like go back and rewatch this. And I would say like a big reason is like professionally, like, so nowadays it's so saturated, like in the online space, it's so saturated. Okay, so a couple things. Okay, so the marketplace is saturated. Okay, so that's one reason right there of like, if you want to stand out, the voice is like the thing that's going to connect you to your audience, and your audience, you need to like you need your audience to, the whole know, like, and trust, know, like, and trust, right? And your voice is the one thing that's going to do that or not. Like having I want to say control, but like having do you know what I mean? Like, I guess control. We'll go with the word control over how you use your voice all the time, and like awareness of like, oh, I've been talking too fast, or I want to say these words a little bit slower, and just having, again, tools are the things that are going to connect you with your audience or not, or you know what I mean, or make them turn away, right? Like if somebody is like, like, I'm so excited, I'm happy to be here, blah, 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 like that's going to turn people off. Like if you can't control that and really learn how to use cadence, because sometimes fast is good, but it's being aware when it's effective. So what's effective when, right? What's effective when? So that's a big reason. What was the other one? So it's harnessing the power. Well, it's the no, love, and trust. It's like you want to be did you say the word authentic earlier?
I did.
You used the word authentic. And it's like, I put it in this term, like if you become, when you step into your and use your voice and its potential, you step into what I call the truer than true version of you, as in there's parts of you that are not coming out. There's parts of you but you don't know it yet because you haven't played with your voice very much or whatever. You haven't thought of the voice as being that thing to start to unlock that voice and play with it for fun, on like not on Zoom or but like on your own, like, or take some coaching, or I have a workshop we'll talk about later, and just start to play with it in new ways, so that when you come back into your life and into the world, you are closer to being that fully expressed version of yourself, or what I call the truer than true version of you. Like the truer than true version of you. Don't you want to be the most you that you are, right? There's only one you. Yeah.
And you see the difference in terms of relationships, right? So like we're talking about like we've been talking about business and like how to be able to kind of bring that through, but like even within, and being able to practice with the people that we trust, right? So being able to have these conversations and being part of of what it is that we want to be able to share in our relationships. So whether it's with our sibling, with our spouse, with our with whomever, like our best friend, and having those conversations and being able to play with it, right? So one of the things that my friends will say is that, oh well, Rollie's really crazy and she loves to like be able to have fun, whereas other people in other scenarios will see me and say, well, she always looks so serious, right? So it's always like really important for us to be able to be who we are. And over the years, I've learned to be able to allow myself to be who I am, no matter who I'm with. Doesn't mean that I'm 100% successful. It depends, again, on the circumstances. But for the most part, it's something that I've had to learn to be able to come out of. Like I had somebody, one of my co-op students, my previous co-op students, one of the things that I saw she shared on Facebook the other day was that, hey guys, remember when we were in high school and we had to do our speeches and everything was marked, right? So like our cadence, our position, our posture, what we were doing, how we were talking with or without our hands. I've learned that it's like, it's okay for me to talk with my hands. Whereas before it would be like, you need to stop using your hands. Well, I talk with my hands all the time, so I need to talk with my hands. And so it's just part of, as I'm saying, right? It's just part of who I am, and having those conversations and having that emphasis as to like what is important, what's important to me is, and what it is that I want to really be able to share with what it is that's going on. And I think that I use that. I actually have to go back and probably look at some videos, but I probably use that a lot in terms of like being able to like emphasize like number one, number two, right? So like those kinds of things in terms of, so using our voice and being able to emphasize like, okay, point number one, like this is like really, really exciting or really, really important or whatever it is that we're doing, right?
100%. Yeah, I love that with the hands. You know, be as expressed as it's how you connect with it's you know, your hands like direct your body. Yep. Like, and so why shut that down, right? Why shut that down? Like it helps direct. Like when you watch good singers too, like you'll see singers, oh yeah, whatever. You know, like that's a part of it's not just them being showy. It's actually helping them, because what you need, your voice is, you need to connect with your body, and if that's part of how your body, you know what I mean, like not acts, but like is responding. It's like a full circle, because your voice connects with your hand, and your hand moves, but the hand directs the voice a certain way. So it's like this circular relationship. So it's really important to connect with your body. Your voice is generated within your body first and foremost. It's coming from in here, and then it's coming out here. So if it ends up your appendages start to move, that's okay. You know?
Well, and how I discovered how much that I actually use my hands is I don't remember what it was that was going on, because I don't remember the scenario. I don't remember what it is that was happening, but I do remember my dad saying, you need to stop talking with your hands, and I need you to sit on your hands. Now I need you to tell me what it is. And I'm like, and I couldn't talk. And it was like, so my husband laughs at me all the time, and he thinks that it's really funny, but it's like, it's not, it really is part of who I am. And it is something that I need to be doing. And even if I'm on the phone talking to somebody, I'm like pointing and like, well, and you have to go over there. Like, yeah, like they can see me pointing that they have to go over there. Like, right. So
totally. It's similar to like, you know, they can tell if you are smiling, if you're just on the phone, or not. They can tell if you're smiling or not when you're speaking. They can't see you, but they can tell. It's all connected. You know, it's deeply connected.
And you're right? So like, and that shows up in your voice. So like, if you're frowning and you're like really sad and you're like not, and like it really does, as I'm demonstrating, it actually does tone your voice down. And so, but when I'm smiling and laughing and having this conversation, like chin is up, and so like the sound is coming out differently. And I would have never thought of that. I would have never thought about like, and again, I've been talking forever, right? So my spirit name is Talking Feather Woman. So like I talk. And so but I never paid attention to like, so you've really created some awareness of like, so like even as we're talking and I see my chin coming up as I'm getting excited about stuff, my shoulders are coming up, my right? So like I'm opening up my diaphragm to be able to talk and get excited about what it is that's going on. So really interesting. I would have never paid attention to those things.
And awareness is key. You use the word awareness, and that is key. And it's sometimes the most subtle thing that changes the tonality, and or the pitch, or the whatever, the speed, the amount of. So awareness is huge. It's like 90% of what I do is like become aware of the. Are you aware of this? Are you aware of your shoulders? Are you aware of, like, I don't usually like the chin thing for sure, but like all of the things we're talking about.
Yeah.
And a breath is like a key, right? Are you aware of your breath? Like, are you? You know what I mean? Like, where's your breath? Like, are you connecting your breath with being the source of the voice part?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, the breath has to be there in a conscious way, especially at first, when you're first starting to like think about this stuff. Where's my breath? There it is. And now I can let my voice come out. You know what I mean? Like, let the breath carry the voice. Yeah. That's huge. That's like a massive thing.
I'm just thinking about, like, again, connecting to emotions, because obviously I work with emotions. So like even connecting with emotions. And so, and you're talking about breath, and those were one of the things that I really focus. I always tell people, bring your awareness back to your breath. Where are you breathing? Where are you noticing as things are coming up? So like even with emotions, right? So if somebody's feeling angry, what's going on with your breath? And so, because then that tightness and that jaw tightness is going to happen probably in terms of your conversation, or when you're feeling really anxious, then you're like probably closing right in and being like inward, and then there's not enough air to be able to get you to keep talking or being able to keep sharing. So I love that. I love those correlations that you're making that I would have never paid attention to, right? So again, it's that awareness and being able to understand what is it that we're doing and how is it that this is impacting us, right? So,
and the world, and the world around you, the ripple effect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
literally, like sound vibration, going out into the literal, you know what I mean, on the vibrational level, going out literally vibrationally as ripples. It's so important. Like, it's so, like, I mean, on a personal level, like I part of what drives me too is personal, because like a year and a half ago, like mid-COVID, whatever, like I had fallen into, like, my relationship with my teenage daughters was like not good. Like, we were basically estranged. I'm getting kind of personal here. I hope that's okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. And I just noticed that, like, as I was doing the work, I mean, I've always been a singer and that, but as I was doing the work to prepare to be more of a voice coach in this capacity and becoming super aware, I just noticed that, or I didn't notice at the time, but what happened was my relationship now is like pretty good, like, especially with the one, and we're like really good terms, like the complete 180, right? And it's just, you got to sit back and go, like, is that a coincidence? I don't think so. Because they grew up with, like, probably like big scary dad voice who was not aware.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's like softened, and I know how to use my voice. You know what I mean? So it's what connect with what you were saying, well, like affecting the world around, affecting you, and then as it goes out into the world as sound vibration, that's can have a very dramatic impact depending how you use it.
Yeah, and I like that comparison that you're making in terms of like the dad voice, right? So like there's always those challenge, like those conversations. And so in our house it's the mom voice. And so like when my voice starts to get elevated, they know it's like, oh, okay, shut it down. Whereas my husband, he just gets quiet, right? So he just, okay, well, I'm not really going to say anything. I'm just going to be angry and I'm going to stay quiet. And like, so that there's that difference. And so whatever it is that's going on, it's like, okay, so I'm going to share what it is that's going to happen. And okay, I'm not okay with that. You need to stop. And even just being able to use the voice to like get somebody's attention, right? So, or being able to use that same voice of being quiet and compassionate and caring and loving and right. So like changing our tone when we see a baby, what do? We start like really quiet and even if the baby's awake, right? So like we get really super quiet and all super cute.
Kind of sing song, like the sing songy voice, like yeah.
Right,
Yeah, it's really really key to have that awareness. And so and then if you're leading webinars and things, so like I have people like you can listen to, like, here's a little tip, like when you listen to like announcers, like welcome to the Super Bowl. I don't know that's probably a silly example, but like you can practice like welcome to the Super Bowl, like long, high, emphatic, anyways. That's just
and and it's the things that we do, right? So when you're talking about it, it's like, okay, well, I would never do that when I'm at work, but like when I'm with my friends or like we're going to do something, like I'm the person who's on the dance floor screaming and yelling like, yay! But like you're not going to see that when I'm at work, but why not, right? So why not be that loud?
Why not? That's funny. I was gonna say why not. That's hilarious. And I was like, that is my work.
because it is like I am. So like I don't remember where we were, or what event that we were at. But my mother-in-law is again that really quiet person, and so my mother-in-law's like, I don't understand why they're yelling. I'm like, because they're excited. Right. Of course they're yelling. Right. It's exciting. And so, but yeah, like again, that comes from my boisterous mom. So like, it's like, we're out having fun. So like, you're going to see that part of us. Right. So.
Yeah. But you need to learn how to, use that screaming voice properly, so that you can scream and scream and scream and scream and not ruin your voice. Like you did a life party, right? A well-supported scream, like bring your diaphragm and yeah baby, whatever. And I'm toning it down, right? It's not a nightclub here, but yeah, I'm sure you've ruined your voice on the dance floor.
I'm sure I have. I'm sure I've woke up, and so we used to call it, because it was like in where we live used to be like we used to be able to smoke, and so like it would be like the going out smoking, the smoking voice from everybody else's, because I wasn't smoking, but I would actually get that like hoarseness of like all the smoke from all the screaming and yelling and having fun from that hoarseness. So yeah, I definitely had that issue.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the larger point there is like protect, and like having tools again to, protect your voice no matter what's going on. Most of us aren't in smoky bars, you whooping and hollering on the dance floor daily. Most of us.
Not anymore, anyway.
Not anymore, anyway. But like, point being, like, do you have the tools to, like use the most of your voice with, depending on the situation, appropriately.
And it really does. Well, and it does make that difference. So now you were talking about this course that you have. So tell me a little bit more about that.
I have a the course, or I've got a workshop coming up. I've got a course, like a 6-week course that I do. It's called Mic Drop. Mic Drop, drop the mic. What? Mic Drop.
That's your course?
That's my course. Yeah.
Okay. So you had an event. So Secret Gateway to Power?
Secret Gateway to Power. So January 24th. So if any of this has been intriguing on any level, if we tweaked your interest on any level, which I hope we did, and you want to learn more about how to like step into your power, come to Secret Gateway to Power. It's going to be amazing. So it's one of a kind. So I bring kind of the mechanical voice coach, what you'd expect, how to, engage your breath. I'll be teaching a few tips on how to connect your body and how to, use your breath first and foremost, and a few voice tips. So the mechanical stuff in a fun way, because it's me. But I'm working with Karen Rudolph, who's an energy intuitive journey leader.
Oh, cool.
And she's bringing the woo woo. Okay, so she's bringing the woo woo of like it's not even woo woo nowadays though. Like unlocking your chakra, so like your throat chakra. Like so, like if you're blocked, if you're somebody, and that was me. I didn't know my throat chakra was blocked at the time. But if you're having any trouble like expressing yourself on any level, there's usually blockage. Most people have blockage in all of our chakras. So she's bringing the throat chakra awareness of how to unlock that, right? So again, like so when you unlock that part, and then you do some voice work, like which is really playing with your voice, like the sky's the limit, like it's really not limitless, like but kind of like what's it's the gateway to your potential, like on a big level. So I highly encourage people to show up for that.
So, and one of the things, so for those of you who are actually catching this on the podcast, this is actually going to air on the podcast. So if you're actually catching this beforehand, so we'll try and make sure that the link gets into the podcast. However, sometimes that doesn't, we only have so much space. So sometimes that doesn't actually show. So for those of you who are actually catching this audio, it is called The Secret Gateway to Power. And the link to be able to find it is https://bit.ly/3PG M2Q. And I think that that's really important as well, is to like share this for anybody who is catching this audio, because you're not seeing me talk with my hands and you're not seeing these things pop up on the screen. And so because we did add it into the chat for anybody who's catching this live, but it's not going to show up for people who are on audio. So so I think that that's really important as well. And of course, wherever it is that you're catching this, so whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, or on one of the podcasts, is around wherever it is that you're watching it, is that there is contact information for you to be able to get a hold of Schroeder. So if you cannot find this particular link, or if you're catching this after the workshop that's already over and you want to be able to connect with him, there's a number of different places where you can actually get a hold of him, where you can actually have these conversations with him. And so, because I think that that's really important for us to be able to do as well, is having these having this conversation, because sometimes we are catching this later, and I am a big strong believer in the woo-woo. And so if you're actually catching this and you're listening and you're hearing, is because there's something within this message that you really needed to be able to hear. And if this is something that interests you, then definitely have this conversation and connect with Schroeder during the whichever way that you actually can. So we've had different people that have actually, and this happens all the time in terms of like our audience, is that I often have messages of people who send me messages privately afterwards, or send messages to the guests. So that is definitely possible, but it's about being able to express ourselves and having our voice and being able to hear. So whether, even if it is written, right? So like being able to use our voice. So like, yes, we've been talking about the audio voice. Schroeder talked about like how it's actually into our body. And then they're going to be talking about how it is from that energetic standpoint, where it's coming from our throat chakra. And so, but it is also in that writing. And so like, if you're catching this and you're share your voice, share what it is that you have to say in terms of conversations, and in writing as well. So like definitely reach out, definitely, because I know that we've had eyeballs that have been on, that have been very quiet and haven't said anything other than a few hearts and likes, and we definitely appreciate those. However, we do want to hear your voice. We do want to hear what it is that you have to say. So would love to be able to hear more, and being able to have you connect with Schroeder. Is there anything else, Schroeder, that you wanted to be able to talk about, or that you thought was important to share? You were talking about your mic drop. Did you want to take a second and talk about that?
I mean, I don't think so. People can find me. I was going to say, I mean, yeah, I have a whole program that is, so sure. So 6 weeks, that is like my life's work of voice training condensed into a 6-week program that my clients get lifetime access to. So 6 weeks of training for a lifetime real training. Like the 6 weeks is the beginning of a lifetime of exploring the potential in your voice. But I did want to just speak to the audience of like, I would be like really interested. I don't want to say like, I would be very interested in hearing anybody's perspective on like what your experience is like. From were you shut down? Were you told not to sing? Were you told not to use your voice in any way? Because most of us have, is what I've experienced with people, and it's terrible. And that's my mission. That's my mission. It's like, it's not too great. Yes, I work with singers, and yes, I work with speakers, and I work, I use singing to help people to bring their speaking voice alive. And ultimately, it's really about undoing those messages and you know what I mean, like rewiring that part of your brain to give yourself that permission to show up larger than you have been. And
Yes.
Yeah. So share, and I will definitely go into the comments and provide feedback and hopefully something inspiring, something to empowering. And if I can do that, like that's very important to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I have really loved this conversation. I think it has been incredible. It is a great start for 2023. And when you were talking about like that larger than life conversation, one of the things that came on of like, cause it's like about people telling you to like quiet down or whatever. And my son, my youngest one, is like, he's the one that's like loud and boisterous, a lot like my mom. And he's the one that we're constantly saying, shh, shh, quiet.
Yeah.
Right. And not to be able to keep what he has to say quiet, but the whole restaurant doesn't necessarily want to hear everything that you have to say and how excited that you are about whatever it is. But yeah, it's really important. And we do that to our children, right? So we tell our kids to be quiet all the time.
Yeah.
And so being able to be mindful of that is something that is really important as well. And as you said that, it was like, oh, I used to tell my son, like, not that it made any difference because he's still loud. And so he still makes sure his voice is heard. But
yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was saying good that your son is still loud. He still feels he can be as loud as he would like to be. Wonderful.
He's like his grandmother. He's going to be as loud as he is until he dies, I'm sure. So I know that his girlfriend's constantly saying, you have to learn to be quiet. The baby's coming in March. You need to be quiet. You need to stop being so loud. But he's not.
Right.
And baby's just going to get used to it. Like, so. Kelly just logged in. She said, I just logged on. If I can understand, not speaking up was always what was most respectful growing up.
I just saw that. And that's so many of us. And I would say to Kelly, like, if you're still here with us, it's, I hope that you can give yourself that permission. And if this is like what you need as somebody else to say, like, you're allowed to be as loud and like boisterous and alive and oh good, she's still there. You're so allowed, like you're so allowed. And to really understand that the people who said that to us, to you, I'm talking to you, didn't know the damage they were doing. Like they didn't understand, like, oh, I'm gonna like, it's a deeply, like it weaves deeply within your psyche and creates this version of yourself that isn't whole. Like like the version of you that was like I want you to like imagine the version of you that didn't get told that, like that didn't get told that. Like, who would you be? Like, that's who I'm encouraging you to be. Like, if you can imagine a version of yourself that was allowed to be as loud, like like Rollie's son, or everybody, who would that be? Like, who would you be? You're allowed to be that, and I want you to like step into that person. Like,
so I love that because it is like, what version would you be? And I love that. And so thank you so much for sharing that. And thanks so much, Kelly, for that feedback, because I think that that's really important, because a lot of us, as she said, I would be truly happy.
I know, right? Fully expressed.
Yes.
Truer than true version of you.
Truer than true version of you. Absolutely. So Kelly, because you're just logging on, you definitely want to go back and listen to the replay. And because Schroeder's had some amazing tips and amazing insights that have actually happened during this conversation. So, but I am going to say goodnight, and I will come back to chatting with wisdom next week. And I know, right? So we are going to be back on next week. We are on a little earlier than 7 p.m. But the goal for this year of 2023, our live events are going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern time, unless of course we've got people from overseas. So we've got some people that are actually coming on next week. Somebody coming on next week who is coming from overseas, and so we needed to adjust the time. So really looking forward to connecting with all of you in 2023. And thanks so much, Schroeder, for joining us and being our first of 2023. It was incredible.
Such an honor. It's so cool. I can't believe it. It's like, wow, what? I'm your first guest of 2023. And thank you to Kelly for commenting. I hope that was helpful. And, I'd love to encourage you further. Reach out to me on, it looks like you're calling in from Facebook. So I'm on Facebook. I'm on all the platforms. I'm on all the things. This has been really lovely, and hopefully pushed that needle for people just that little bit. Because when they push the needle, a little bit over the course of it's the ship analogy, right? Like you end up in a whole different destination, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. And I was able to get some great insights. And so thank you very much for sharing your wisdom. And for everyone else, chat soon. We will talk again next week. Bye for now.
Awesome.